This is a 2007 Porsche 911 Turbo. This is the 997 Generation 1 variant, and it is an absolutely incredible example. Now, I'm an enormous Porsche fan, so I'm going to be relatively enthusiastic when it comes to this car. But in my opinion now, a 2007 Turbo is for me almost modern classic status. You know, it's no longer just sort of a couple of generations old Porsche. These have now become more valuable, especially examples like this, low mileage examples that have been really well cared for. And just the way they look, I think they've aged beautifully. This car is finished in GT Silver, so Porsche GT Silver, with a full black leather interior. And I've touched on it a few times, but this generation, 997s, you couldn't order a huge amount of optional extras when they came out. So when you find one that's got the level of specification and the level of little intricate details that the first owner has ordered on it, they really stand out. So that's why we believe that we have actually got one of the best used examples of a 997 Gen 1 Turbo available in the country. It's done 36,000 miles. It's got a full service history with Porsche main dealers and Porsche specialists, and it will come with a fresh service. So it's going to come ready to go, ready to be used. And I say it a lot, they're probably the only manufacturer where you can get in one of their older vehicles now, so an 07 Porsche 997 Turbo, and use it every day. And you know, it's shocking how good these cars are, how usable they are, how modern they still feel, how fast they still feel. So I'll run you through some of the details. Obviously, being a Generation 1 of the 997, it has some differences to the Gen 2. So I'll show you some of those earlier sort of differences to the later cars. The Gen 1 has these lovely LED daytime running lights, just here in the front air intake for the lower radiators, and a little fog light on the outside. It's a slightly sort of, all I would say, it's the curvier looking of the two generations. And obviously with these dotted sort of fairy light LED daytime running lights, it shows a bit of its age. This is what LED running lights looked like in 07. And obviously as they developed, they became sort of single strip lights. And then obviously it's got original xenon headlamps up here, which are obviously the best lights that you could have at the time. So car being about as good as it got for 2007, this is, you know, Porsche's prime, you know, most premium product that they sell. The Turbo is the most expensive 911 you can buy. Porsche have always set it that way. They are more expensive brand new than a GT car. So as I said previously, in 2007, this was the car. This was the thing to be in. Now, we'll come around the front, and the differences between this and other cars will start to show already. So, it's fitted with 4 Bridgestone N1 Porsche rated tyres, which are the correct rated tyre for the car. They've all got loads of tread on them, so all been kept beautifully. These are the first generation turbo wheels. They're a two-tone wheel, so they're diamond cut down the front, and they have these lovely metallic grey inserts. But the real sort of showstopper at the front here, and you'll see it as we go around on all corners, is you can see in there Porsche ceramic braking systems. So they're the carbon ceramic brakes, a very, very rare, very expensive option on a 997 Turbo. Obviously much more popular on the later cars, 991 generation cars, the turbos, a lot of them have them, but at this age, to have ceramic brakes on your Turbo, extremely rare, extremely expensive when you order it new, but obviously you get that massively improved braking performance, much more longevity on the brakes as well. And obviously when you look at the car, you know, it makes it, if it's a modern classic going forward, when their values, hopefully they will go up as they have done so far, you'd like to think that this will make this car stand out. Now we'll come down the passenger side, and you've got, again, on the 997, these infamous air intakes. It was the first generation where Porsche put this slat through the middle of the turbo air intakes, which sit on the rear flanks here. So this slat in the middle really defines 997 turbo generation for me. And they didn't do it again afterwards. So I don't know what the benefit was on this generation of Porsche, but again, extremely distinctive, really nice to see, a lovely little design feature. And again, just to give you an idea of the condition and how this car has been looked after, you've got armor guard strips here protecting this rear quarter wing here. So any sort of stone chips that come into this area are not going to damage the paintwork, which is lovely. And again, when you're that close up, you can see the beautiful metallic fleck in the GT silver. A really stunning color. And I think one that actually has let this car look really fresh still. I would say like a gray or a black actually doesn't accentuate the curves of this car and its lines. And I actually think GT Silver for me is actually one of my favorite Porsche colors anyway, but I think for this generation of turbo, it just looks outstanding. Now, looking at the back, you've got those really classic, famous Porsche curves. So looking at those huge hips at the back of the car, and all turbos, I'm sure you're aware, are all-wheel drive. So that's why the car is a bit wider, because it is a four-wheel drive vehicle. Beautiful chrome exhaust tips down here. Again, looking at the condition, this car's been really, really, really well cared for. Beautifully looked after throughout its life. And you can see that, I mean, not really a mark at all on the rear bumper there. Beautiful chrome turbo logo on the back. And this wing itself is deployable, so it will lift at around 70, 75 miles an hour on the motorway. You can obviously manually deploy it as well. But it kind of nicely leads me to the second sort of unusual option, which is that this car has a rear wiper. Now, something you wouldn't consider, something you probably have looked past and not thought that significant, but that is a paid for cost option. It's quite an unusual one. Not many people choose it, but again, it just makes this car stand out. It makes it different from all the other, not that there's many in the market, but from all the other 997 Gen 1 turbos out there. And actually, in a rainstorm, if you're driving this on the motorway, the rear wiper I find is extremely helpful. Coming down the driver's side, a little touch to one of the Porsche specialists that's looked after it over the years. You know, this guy that owned the vehicle, you know, really cared for it. Would love to represent the people that looked after it, was a real Porsche aficionado, a real fanatic, loved the car, loved the brand. And I'll just jump in and show you some of the lovely features inside, which is where, again, this car starts to stand apart. So if I jump into the driver's seat, what you're going to see first here, and there is some beautiful patina on this door, but it is better to leave, in our opinion, to leave it alone, and it looks exactly as it is. It looks a little used, but beautifully, if that makes sense, cared for. You've got extended leather to the tops of the doors, extended leather to all of the door handle surrounds and the window surrounds, and that theme continues into the car. So you have extended leather to, I don't know if you can see this, but you have extended leather to the gear tunnel down here. So that goes all the way down through the ashtray. This should be plastic. In most modern cars, it's not. This is all leather finished and stitched. Extended leather around the gear selector tunnel. Extended leather to the roof. And even extended leather to the switch control for the interior light and the sunroof, which are above us. Now, amazing detail. Incredible on a car of this age. I don't think I've seen another 997 with all the full extended leather kit. Which again, I keep coming back to, makes this car different, and I think that's the most important thing when you buy one of these. You want to buy a special one, and I think this one is probably the most special one that I've seen. Again, sunroof, optional extra, nice to know. It's a steel finished roof, so it sits in, it's not glass, but yeah, a beautiful, nice optional extra. And I'll lead you back to the door. Electric mirrors, electric windows, normal, but this car has full electric seats with lumbar control, so I believe they are 12-way adjustable, and it has memory function, which again, these are all optional extras, and obviously the lovely upgraded Bose stereo system. And then if I run you through some of the controls in here, multifunction steering wheel, a lovely option. Obviously it's a Tiptronic, so you've got your gear shifting buttons, which are on the steering wheel here. They're lovely. And then I'll fire the car up so you can hear that classic flat six turbo. Fires up beautifully. Everything revs, everything sits lovely. It's all as it should be. We've got digital climate control, the PCM, which is the Porsche control module here, which is the satellite navigation, and the radio works perfectly. I know that in this first generation, a lot of them have issues. This one doesn't. I've tested it. I've run through everything that works on it. The sat-nav works. It's perfect. You've got Sports Chrono Pack Plus up here, which is exactly what you'd want in one of these. And then obviously, normal interior of a 911. It's just Porsche through and through. It's beautifully built. It's beautifully put together. That leather roof is lovely. It's a really lovely extra feature, and it feels exactly as it should do. It does not feel like a 2007 car. And I'll just jump out and sort of summarize everything for you. And another little telltale sign while I'm here, Generation 1 997 was the last generation that, I think it was an EU sort of regulation that said that mirrors had to be slightly bigger. So on a 997 Generation 2, the mirrors get quite a lot larger. This is the last Porsche 911 with these slim, beautiful, sort of curved mirrors. And for me, they are beautiful, they are elegant, and it's the last time on a 911 that you get these sort of smaller mirrors that are actually, they're more of a design feature than they are a safety feature. You obviously understand why they got bigger for visibility, display, etc. But as I say, on a 997, they stand apart for me as well. Now, to summarize for you, a beautiful, beautiful example of a very, very rare car. 997 Generation 1 Turbo, 36,000 miles. This car will come fully serviced with a brand new no advisory MOT, so it will be ready to go. And I think the next owner is going to be a very, very lucky person, whoever you are. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Matthew.